this thing on? Hey everybody, this is Nick Lapola here. Welcome to the Advanced Video Production Special Session. Thank you so much for coming and spending your Saturday morning, or part of it anyways, with us. Really appreciate it. We're going to get started in just a couple minutes. Let people pile on into the room. We've always got those stragglers. Just about 3 minutes here, and we'll get going. Got some cool stuff for you today. In fact, I just learned something really cool that I'm going to share with you guys. Let's see here. Where's my... There it is. Hey Zane, on the left toolbar, you'll see a Webinar Fusion Pro app. Probably want to run that because that's going to be where the chat's going to show up.
Yeah, I can see the chat. There's actually a lot of people here. Impressive.
Yeah. Impressive.
I'm impressed with your prowess, good sir.
In case you didn't notice, everybody, we have a special guest on the line. I'll be introducing him shortly. Great guy, good friend of mine. Funny, too.
Thank you. I've always thought I was a great guy, but it's always good to confirm from other people.
Right. That external validation is always required, right?
Right? Oh, and by the way, folks, if you hear a random guitar strum like so, it's because I have two very adorable cats that always want to bother me when I'm talking to a group. So for whatever reason, they're terrified of my acoustic guitar. So if you ever hear that, it's to shoo them away instead of me going, "Get out of here!"
That's funny. I love it. All right, so let's just check up with people, see if they can hear us in the chat. Hey, Len. Dean's asking how Webinar Fusion is going. It's going fine. We're using it right now. You notice the chat is a little bit different today. A little bit more manageable for us. So yeah, let me know if you can see us and hear us. Much appreciated.
It's going to be a fun hangout, I can already tell.
Yeah, we get a little crazy. All right, it's been 3 minutes as promised. I'm still, apparently I'm going the wrong way on the road to recovery from being sick last week. Starting to come back, so I'm not going to be talking too much. Zane's going to be running the show today. Welcome, everybody, to the Advanced Video Production Special Session, Saturday morning. Powerful Google Plus and YouTube Secrets for Success. And with me today is a good friend of mine. For those of you who don't know me, in case there's anybody in here that doesn't know me, my name is Nicholas Lapola. I'm the creator of Simple Video Pro. And we do these trainings mostly once a week, sometimes twice a week, and sometimes every other week. But we try to stick to once a week to keep you guys up to date and get you educated. All right. A good friend of mine's on the line with me, Zane Miller. This is Zane in repose, contemplating life and the universe. Yes. Anyway, Zane Miller has been a Google expert for what? How long have you been? I mean, not Google, Google and YouTube actually. Channel expert for what? 10 years you've been doing YouTube stuff?
Yeah, just about. I've been obsessed with YouTube since about 2008, and Google just kind of is obviously a side byproduct of it because of Google owning it. And then in 2012, I was like, hey, check out these Hangout stuff. It's like YouTube, but live. And then, like, nothing really happened. And then, like, as soon as I turned around, I was like, all right, well, whatever. All of a sudden, boom, everyone's like, yeah, Hangouts. So it's been a fun ride.
Excellent. Yeah, man, so 10 years of experience with YouTube. And you're just not going to beat this as far as knowledge, okay? I mean, the guys, in fact, just now, he showed me something in Hangouts, and we are using Webinar Fusion Pro, which is a great back-end system for managing all your webinar invites, invite screens, and all that. It's awesome so far. I'm very happy with it. I was very happy with the preview of it, and that's why we promoted it. But we're using it today. But it runs off of Hangouts, okay? Just like many other systems, it's just better at it. And Zane just showed me this little thing where you go over to the right and you click Cameraman and select an option so that the little thumbnails don't always show up at the bottom, and because I found that those interfere with our replays. I'm always having to zoom them out and stuff. But Zane just shared that bit with me, so already I've got a nugget to leave here with today. So I'm looking forward to the rest of it, man. Very cool.
Looking forward to teaching everybody.
Excellent. All right, guys, I'm going to turn this over to, excuse me. I'm going to turn this over to Zane because my voice is going to give out if I have to keep talking. So Zane, I'm going to turn the screen over to you and take it away.
Fantastic. And of course, feel free to chime in at any time, right? If Nick, you see something that, let's say there's a comment that comes up and you're like, hey, we should totally address this right now. I'm fine with that. I'm very stream of consciousness sometimes with my teaching. So I just kind of go with the flow, and I don't really think about like how much time has passed. So Nick, if you could be the clutch here and there and help me stay focused, I would really appreciate that. Of course, anybody. Of course, anybody who has any questions, again, feel free to fire them in. I will answer them as I go along, but of course we have a chunk of time specifically designated for Q&A. And this is pretty much how today's class is going to work. What we're going to do is I'm going to teach you a bunch of stuff about Google+, and it's going to go for about an hour. And after that, it's designated for Q&A. Now, I have done this enough times that sometimes it's just an hour of Q&A, sometimes it goes much longer than that. I've already told Nick that I'm totally okay with going as long as we need to, but it's pretty much designated for about 2 hours. So I'm like the Energizer Bunny when it comes to talking about YouTube and Hangouts and stuff like that. I will outlast all of you. All right, so just let me know. Like again, Nick, if you're like, all right, I think we're good. Zane, we've been talking for about like 6 hours, so shut up and go away or whatever. Right?
I'll be burned out before 6 hours for sure.
Okay. Well, and again, I feed off of questions. So as the questions peter out, then that's when I usually have my cue. So
well, you know you know what's cool is you're the only other person that I've met so far. As far as webinars and Hangouts and stuff, who actually does take the time to answer questions besides us. Everybody I've talked to thinks we're crazy because we literally will start up Q&A and we'll be another hour and a half sometimes, depending on the questions, because we want to answer them all if we can. Yeah. Unless I can't physically for some reason. And so you're the first guy that's got that, so it's cool. Great minds think alike, right?
Right on. They sure as hell do, because Nick's smart.
Damn straight.
So, real quick, Nick, are you clicked on my presentation window in the Hangout?
I am.
Awesome.
So there you go.
Everybody watching can see a presentation, a screen that says "Getting Started with Google+." Let me know in the chat there, because this is basically where we're going to start, and there's not a whole bunch of slides here. Just listen to the wonderful, soothing voice that is Zane, and I will take you on a journey of Google+. I'm also going to show you a couple of actual screen shares, show you what I do, because this is actually my first exposure to Webinar Fusion, and so far I think it's awesome. Now, Nick has also told me that the people who developed it are really, really sharp and they're on top of it, and that's always been my biggest hesitation with software like this, is because as you know, I've been a part of Hangouts from the jump, and I have seen many, many companies come and go, and even more companies that come and then kind of go, well, we'll kind of support it, but not really. So I've been assured that this is not that, and from what I see so far, I'm very impressed. So be glad, any of you who have purchased Webinar Fusion. and be even more glad with the stuff that I'm going to be teaching you today, because a lot of what I talk about are things that have to do with setting up and getting it going so that you have the ultimate amount of exposure in the whole process, whether you use Webinar Fusion, Webinar Jam, or whatever webinar thingers and Hangouts that you use, right? That's my job, is to make sure that all of you I take you a little bit deeper than just the surface level of Hangouts and show you some inner workings to truly magnify what you're doing. All right, that's my main focus. Everything that you will hear me teach you will be able to work in conjunction with any software that you're doing. Does that make sense to everybody?
Makes sense to me. That's awesome.
Awesome. And Clive says, I have a great voice. Thank you, Clive. It's awesome.
Why, certainly. Zane Miller, everybody, coming at you live.
All right, so one of the things I wanted to make sure, because Nick was asking me for a quick explanation, and I just want to make sure. Yeah, okay. So as you know, I'm going to be showing you how your Google Plus page can make your YouTube channel more powerful and your business, online or offline, more money, right? And here's the thing: the biggest oversight that marketers have when it comes to Google Plus is they think it's just another Facebook wannabe. And on a social level, maybe. But we're talking about Google here. They got big, big brains behind the scenes, right? So what they do is they go a little bit further than most people, which is why I'm a personal, Google fanboy. I have plenty of things that I don't like about Google and Google Plus, but for the most part, they are on the ball, right? So what makes this different is the simple fact that your Google Plus page or your Google Plus account acts more as an administrator for your YouTube channel and Hangouts, right? As we go through, I'm going to show you some examples of what I do natively that, again, can be done if, say, you need to do something on the fly or you want to incorporate it into whatever you're already doing, all right? So getting started with Google Plus, the main focus here is just setting things up. Now, again, I'm going to go into a lot of detail on this so you fully understand everything, but by the time you're finished and you understand this setup doesn't take longer than like 15 minutes. And as Nick has experienced, there's a lot of really cool things that can be done in conjunction with Google Plus. Like, for example, I was telling Nick, hey, there's a bunch of cool things that I can do in relation to YouTube, Hangouts, and even some paid traffic that if you give me access to your Google Plus page, I can help you do that, right? Now, I bet you dollars to dimes no one knew that, right? Anybody here know that you can actually give access to anybody to your Google Plus page? Anybody here? Because that's one of the first things that really separates Google Plus from the rest of the crowd. You, as a marketer, can go to any business and say, hey, I've made this cool presence for you, right? You can actually create a Google Plus page specifically for a client, and then you can show it off to them and say, hey, look at the cool stuff that I've done for your business. And when they say yes, because of course they'll say yes, they're like, oh, I don't know what this Google Plus stuff is, or even the YouTube stuff for that matter. You show them that, you show them how this works, and you give them control of this page that you create, suddenly that's an amazing foot in the door strategy. So the focus of this is to show you how to make that happen and explain to you why, again, Google Plus isn't just another social media site. It's actually the brain of your YouTube channel. Make sense? All right.
Indeed.
So before we begin, if you do want some more like Google Plus marketing stuff, I have a bunch of resources. I can basically I can give you guys a bunch of links, or I can give Nick a couple of links. There are some really, really sharp people that give away their content absolutely free when it comes to Google Plus marketing, right? Like, I think the majority of people on Google Plus haven't quite jumped on the bandwagon of like, I need to charge people for stuff, right? So the links that I'll be giving to you will be links directly to these people's profiles on Google Plus, and they're just doing nothing but just dump just great content after great content, totally free, right? So if you want that information, I'll give it to you. But again, that's not the focus of this class. This class is to show you, okay, this Google Plus thing, how is it going to connect with my business, and how is it going to connect with my video marketing and my YouTube channel or YouTube channels for your clients. Still making sense? Still with me?
I am.
Cool.
I think you're tracking pretty good here as far as pace.
Nice. Nice.
Not getting lost on my side. We'll see what the people say.
Rock on, rock on. And again, I'll be keeping an eye on questions if something pops up that I think should be addressed right away. Cool. If not, again, we have a whole big chunk of time designated just for Q&A. All right. So the benefits of Google Plus. Why should you even care? Right now, like I said, like I've alluded to, it's technically already a part of your YouTube foundation, and that's the main focus here. Is that it's not Google marketing, it's not Google Plus. This is a part of your YouTube marketing foundation, which is why I was so excited to teach all of you, because you're so video focused. A lot of people look at this class as like, ooh, I'm going to learn about like Google Plus and things that look a lot like, you know, what could be Facebook marketing, right? But really, it's about your YouTube marketing. Now, when you think about it, everything on YouTube actually ends up on Google Plus anyway, right? It's an amazing curation system, and as you'll see later, there's actually a lot of SEO benefits to it as well. And Google makes it really easy to share on Google Plus. Even so much so that the entire YouTube comment system, and I'm sure you've all seen this, the entire YouTube comment system has been replaced by Google Plus's comment system. If you remember back in 2013, everybody was losing their mind. Like, oh, this is terrible. But what they didn't notice was that by Google removing the YouTube comment system and pushing in Google Plus's comment system, YouTube authors were actually getting way more exposure. Because here's an interesting thing. Since your Google Plus profile and or page is connected to your YouTube channel, any comments that you make on a YouTube video also automatically pop up on Google Plus. Now, of course, you can delete that, but what's even more interesting is that it starts to create this sort of viral explosion on Google Plus, because when you make that comment, not only is the comment pushed out on Google Plus, but a little embedded video of the YouTube video shows up on your profile to give context of the comment you just made on YouTube. Automatic backlinking, right? Because it's a link on another site pointing to your YouTube video. And I'm sure all of you understand the concept of backlinking and getting your links out there for your website. YouTube's no different. The more websites and the more votes, so to speak, as they consider it, more people pointing to that YouTube video, the faster it's going to rise in ranking. So everything on YouTube ends up on Google Plus anyway, and on top of it, there's a huge SEO benefit to it as well. And then finally, once you figure out the basics, Google Plus is super, super easy. All right, so those are the main benefits of Google Plus, right? The other really big benefit, aside from the fact that there's like, well, last time I checked, there's like 250 million users in Google Plus, and that's probably pretty old. We're probably, closer up to like the 400 or 500 million. But right now, Google Plus is still considered as, and I'm using quotey fingers, right? As some critics call it, a ghost town, right? I've never seen a ghost town full of 200 million people, but hey, what are you going to do? Now, I don't really care about the back and forth between, no Facebook, no Google Plus. It doesn't matter, because any press is good press, right? So, like, the more it's talked about and the more controversial it is, the more exposure it has. So, say what anybody can say what they want about it. The fact that it's being talked about is helping it, even if it's bad. right? Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So we're talking about early positioning. Taking a sip of water here. So early positioning and the fact that all of you are way ahead of the curve at this point. I have talked to marketers that make 7, 8 figures kind of thing, and when I tell them about Google Plus and what it actually does, I just get this look of like, well, why didn't somebody tell me about it? And that's really a common theme that I hear in discussions when it comes to Google Plus, Hangouts, or YouTube is the simple fact that no one seems to really click buttons or something. I don't know. Seems pretty obvious to me. Click around and start messing around with it and see what comes of it, and there you go. You have your data. But not everybody wants to do that, and unfortunately, there are marketers out there who really don't care, and so they only take it to what I call the surface level, and that's pretty much YouTube and Hangouts, and that's not a bad thing. It's just that there's an extra layer that few people really understand because they won't take the time to do it. But what I'm showing you now is that lower layer, and all of you, if you take what I teach you today, will be positioned just as well as I am right now, because I'm getting some pretty decent traffic from Google Plus. Yes, even on the social side, but because I positioned myself early and I positioned myself using all the tools that I'm going to be showing you. All right. So those are all the benefits. Here's some Google Plus in action. I'm sure you're all familiar with SEO, Moz, right? You can see down in the bottom left-hand corner. Of course, we'll share the link with all of you. This is basically the culminating point of this article. There are correlations between Google Plus ones and higher search rankings. All right. So once you do understand what I'm going to be teaching you, just know that if you do anything on Google Plus, you'll be way ahead of everybody else because you actually understand it, right? So beyond just the administrative side, you're actually going to be able to leverage what you understand through the administrative side to market very well on Google Plus, all right? So the core training of this class and pretty much anything else that I will be teaching you is to focus on what isn't changing, right? Now, I know that may sound difficult because there are things changing all the time, right? It's just, it always seems like YouTube and Google Plus and Facebook and everything's always constantly changing. And that's the nature of the beast, right? It's always changing because they're always testing. And these sites are so big that they can't afford to go offline for a little while, make some tests, and then come back, right? Like, if YouTube shut down, it was like, no, we're going to go offline for a little while. People would be like rioting in the streets, like, I need to see my cat videos. So, anyway,
they're not going anywhere.
Right.
It would be mass hysteria. It'd be like the zombie apocalypse.
The zombie apocalypse. I love it. Now, someone just said they can't see the link. Like I said, I can actually make this presentation a PDF to send to everybody. By the way, the presentation that I'm using is from Google Drive, totally free, just like PowerPoint, and it works really super well. And it's in Google Drive, so it's shareable. Just before this class, Nick said, hey, what does your presentation look like? And I said, oh, here, hold on. And then I sent him a link directly to the presentation so he could see it and I could see it, and it was all sorts of awesome. What makes it even better is it's totally free, so you don't even need PowerPoint anymore, right? Anyway, so core training here.
Google's taking over the earth.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty soon we'll drive Google cars. Have you gotten your Google milk yet?
Brought to you by the genetically engineered cows from Google.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Google cars, it's like, it won't be like, have you driven the last Google car? It'll be, has Google car driven you?
Yeah,
because it's all automated or whatever. Yeah. Anyway, again, not to worry. Happily, I will happily send you the slides, and I can even send you the link if you'd like. So, but as far as the core training goes, we're focusing on what isn't changing. Yeah.
You could pop the link into the chat, or maybe Skype it to me, and I could do that for you.
Okay, sure thing.
However you
Kind of
want to
in
do
the
it.
present. Well, it's like in the presentation. Well, I'm here. Let me.
I'll go to the presentation. You gave me the link.
Oh, yeah, that's
Grab
right.
it. Oh my gosh!
It's like technology in motion. There. Oh, there we go. JC. He's got one too, right there.
Oh, there you go. Thank you, JC.
Yeah. Way to go, man. This chat box is pretty slick. All right. So anyway, focus on what isn't changing, right? So what is that? Well, when you sift out all the stuff that isn't changing, you pretty much get down to one thing, and that's user experience, right? Now, I am a huge advocate for user experience because, folks, that's the only way to sell anything. All the stuff that we learn, all the things that we do, all comes back around to user experience, or at least it should. And sometimes there are marketers out there that either don't know or don't care, and we kind of get lost in the weeds. Like, for example, there is a huge push, and it's always been this way. Actually, I can't say that it's like a recent huge push, but the primary focus is always like, gotta rank, woo! Okay, that's great. I mean, I get that. You want to get as much exposure as possible, but when you rank on Google or YouTube or anything, folks, that's nothing more than an audition. That's it. When you say, oh, my video disappeared, well, what do you expect? The end goal for Google is to give the most relevant, helpful information based on a search query. So yeah, your video can be very relevant title-wise and tag-wise and description-wise, but it falls when Google says, all right, up you go. Let's see how it goes. And people go and they watch the video for like 4 seconds and they roll their eyes, go, I'm done, and they click out. That's why your video falls off the front page. No other reason, folks. And again, many marketers don't want to approach that because then all of a sudden they have to go, well, you actually have to like put effort into this. And that doesn't help make sales. But I'm here to give you the honest truth because I particularly enjoy sleeping at night, and lying to people just keeps me up at night. So there you go. Good, bad, in between. Argue as much as you like, but thank you. But really, it all comes down to user experience, which is why I will continuously pound into your head, don't rank, market. That's it. It's as simple as that. Don't rank, market. When you're marketing to people, you're leaning in and listening to them. You're doing research. You're trying to find out what the problems are. And then you're taking all that information, putting it into your brain and saying, how can I create a good user experience, right? That's it, right? It all comes down to the same thing. And if you hear any more training of mine, it'll always come back to user experience, right? So if we come back to the whole Google Plus thing, what is the user experience? What is the end user experiencing on Google Plus? What are they experiencing on YouTube? And a little bit later, we'll be talking, well, we haven't decided on the exact day and time to do this, but after this is actually another free training all about Hangouts, right? Who sees what, and what the end user experience is, so that we can understand what they're going through and how they're seeing the Hangout, so we can provide, again, a good user experience. Still making sense? Still tracking?
Yeah, totally. And that's funny because I always see, the admin end. I've never actually seen the end user's experience, so that'll be actually really good for me too.
Oh,
and
yeah.
whether or not you're using Webinar Fusion Pro or some other app or just native Hangouts, it's gonna benefit you because it all is driven by Hangouts.
Okay, I just someone rang my doorbell, but I'm just gonna ignore it because usually that's somebody trying to sell something. So I'm not expecting anybody.
Hopefully it's not because smoke is coming out of your attic and someone's trying to burn you.
Your house is on fire.
Didn't answer the door.
I hope this isn't disrupting the call. Hey.
We're just aerating your neighbor's lawn.
Okay, sorry, I'm on a call right now. I'm sorry. I thought it was something. Okay, sorry, folks. I really shouldn't have done that. I knew exactly what was happening.
That's
I'm in a
okay.
I'm in a cul-de-sac. I'm in a cul-de-sac, so it's always like, let's get that guy at the end, and it's just, hey, we're aerating. I don't care. Shouldn't have done this. Sorry. All right. Anywho, we can edit that out, right? Anyway, so what we're asking ourselves is what is Google Plus like to them, right? What is the end user like? Again, we'll be talking about Hangouts specifically in the next training, and what the Hangout experience is like to them, and how we can augment or make that scenario better. But right now we're looking at what is Google Plus like to them. And the really cool thing about this is that Google Plus has a few extra features in it that give it a totally new experience that no other marketer is doing. Now, again, I said I wouldn't do a whole lot of Google Plus marketing stuff, but I do want to tell you about this. Now, I'm sure many of you have been on Google Plus before, and you've seen in the stream. In Google Plus, they call the news feed in Facebook. It's the same thing with Google Plus. It's just called the stream, right? And if you scroll through the stream, you'll actually see animated GIFs, right? Like it's like a picture, but kind of like a video at the same time. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Animated GIFs. I'm gonna take some water here.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Those little images that keep repeating their little animation.
Exactly.
It's not a movie, but it looks like it almost.
Now, at this point, and I'm sure it'll change. I'm sure there's people trying to figure that technology already. But Google Plus is actually Google Plus and Tumblr. They're the only platforms that I've seen so far that will actually display an animated GIF in the stream. So again, think about the end user experience, right? If you're going through your news feed on Facebook, pretty static, right? Sometimes you see a video that's been uploaded and it starts to play the video, right? And it's like muted, right? Kind of like that, except it's just specific to an image, right? So if you're going through something like that and you're used to just seeing mostly static content, right? Like here's a post, here's a picture, then all of a sudden you see an animated picture. That catches your eye. It works exactly the same way as when you see the video thumbnail in the Google results, right? It catches your eye because it's an image. Animated GIFs in Google Plus takes it a step further and says, hey, check this out because it's actually moving and it's very eye-catching. So again, think about that and know that very, very few people, very, very few marketers are leveraging something as simple as animated GIFs in Google Plus, right? So to give an analogy, right, Google Plus is like a blank canvas. There's nothing been drawn on it yet. Whereas Facebook, in 2009, that was when it was a blank canvas. Fast forward a few years and there's ads and crap everywhere and there's all sorts of people sending you retarded invites to like their Facebook page that no one's ever going to like, so they're just begging people for likes and stuff like that, right? It's all crowded and noisy and chaotic. Google Plus, clean and not noisy. So if you do anything that's slightly different than what they're already seeing, you get instant user engagement, which is, again, why leveraging your Hangouts and your YouTube videos and things like that is such a good idea to push through Google Plus, right? So this is, again, we're going to kind of leave that that whole marketing side. There's your one thing about the Google Plus angle. But again, consider what the end user experience is like, and you'll start to understand Google Plus better and better, right? So how do you optimize Google Plus? Now, this is probably the most simple of all of the things, which it's just a simple matter of telling Google Plus what your brand, product, or service is all about. And you do that by just filling out the profile of the page, right? Here's my headline, here's my tagline, here's links to my website, here's some extra, here's what I've been contributing to. They're all things that when you click edit on your Google Plus page, they're all things that Google needs to know, because as much as they would love to hide the fact, they still rely heavily on text, to catalog content, right? So you need to give them something to work with, which is, again, why it's so important to optimize your page or profile, depending on how you want to do it, right? Optimizing that is the most important thing to start this foundation. After that, you barely need to do anything with Google+, because, again, our focus is on the YouTube side. But as far as setting up a foundation, you definitely need to fill out as much information in your profile as possible, okay? So I believe, yeah, all right. That's
So
the last.
should you like do keyword research and stuff like that before you fill out your profile? I mean, or just fill it out as naturally as possible, or obviously you don't want to do keyword stuffing.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. True. With that, again, it doesn't. You don't have to do any kind of. You don't have to go crazy with it, right? That's a thing that you'll discover with me as well, is that you don't have to put as much force into it, like, here's some extra keywords and this and that and blah blah blah. Because again, I teach more of a market, don't rank. So you just need to give Google a good idea of what's going on. I mean, fill out as much as you can and give as much information as possible, but I don't think about what the search engine is going to see. I think about what people are going to see, because they do click on stuff. They do click on the about page. They do click on, the extra bells and whistles. And this is the sad part to me, is that most marketers, again, they're taught rank, 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 rank. So when the end user actually sees a page or profile, it's the profile's speaking to the search engines and not the people, right? So definitely don't stuff keywords. Talk to your audience through your profile. That's what you want to be doing, right?
Right. Otherwise,
does that make sense?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. You don't want them to bounce. You want to write it for humans. Keep them interested and engaged, because if they bounce, Google sees that. Google says,
exactly.
Hey. Yeah. What's funny is I know a lot of people, including myself, we go out there and we're just simply put up a Google Plus profile just to get it done so that we can hook up YouTube, and don't bother to put in all that information. I don't even think I've put in all that information. So that's a really good point, man. Appreciate it. So Jeff is asking a question real quick. Are you referring to your personal Google Plus profile or your business page, or both?
Yes, that's a very good point. Now, here's the thing, and again, one of the reasons why I really tip my hat to Google on this decision with Google Plus and how they're moving forward with it. And that's the simple fact that your profile is what starts everything, right? And your profile can create pages. Now, here's a couple things you need to understand about that relationship. First of all, Google wants people, human beings, connected to profiles, and then everything else is a page. Be it your business, band, nonprofit, choir group, whatever it is, that is a page, and you as a person is a profile. Now, I haven't heard anybody, getting things shut down or anything like that, but I always believe that it's best to, like, since you're playing in Google's playground anyway, play by their rules makes things a whole lot easier, right? I've never had anything banned before, not an AdWords account. Okay, I take that back. In 2009, someone flagged one of my videos on YouTube on one of my channels, and that was back in the day when YouTube was not nearly as nice as they are now, and like that was it. It was gone, right? So, but I've always made sure that I played by Google's rules, because they're the ones that are ultimately going to decide how much exposure I get, right? So with did that? Oh well, actually, let me make sure.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So all your business pages are connected to a personal profile.
Exactly. Now, the awesome thing is that any page that you create, the end user, the public, does not see that the page is connected to your profile. There's no association to that at all, right? They just see a page, and that's what the page is. What's even cooler is that those pages can act exactly like a profile. In fact, it's really, really hard to distinguish the difference between a Google Plus page and a Google Plus profile. I think it's one of those things, like when you land on the page or profile, I think profile gives you the option to follow, and then like a page, it says like circle or something like that. They're very subtle differences, Now, I tell you that because you personally don't have to be on Google Plus, right? If you think, whoa, hey, I've got too much things to juggle, don't worry about it, right? Your profile can just act as like, it just exists. It doesn't have to do anything. But that profile, again, can create those pages. And those pages are what control the YouTube channels that, again, as I told you in the beginning of the presentation, you can create this page, like say for a client, online or offline, and then approach them and say, hey, I've created this this page and channel, and it has your, it's your name and your entity, and I'd be happy to hand it over to you and steer the ship for a fee, right? Or something like that. Or you can do the whole landlord angle and say, all right, so I control the page and the YouTube channel, and then I'll send you, traffic from there, right? So again, the reason why we're focusing on Google Plus so much, and at this point, is the simple fact that this is what will actually control things in the future. Like your page can actually show up in a Hangout. Like for example, like let's see. All right, so it shows Nick in here on his personal profile, but if you wanted to jump in through the SVP YouTube channel, the page, he could, and it would show up in the Hangout as SVP, right? So your business presence can show up anywhere and do anything that a profile could do. So you could, again, the point is that your business can operate on Google Plus and do what it needs to do, but you do not have to. Making sense?
Yeah, Jeff is asking a question that a couple people have said, yes, please, what Jeff asked. So let's answer it.
So if you have
if you have more than one business and more than one G Plus page, what would be the best way to optimize your personal profile?
Now, for me, I market through my personal profile simply because I'm a personality marketer, but I also have a bunch of pages that aren't associated with me at all, aside from the fact that they're connected to my profile, right? So you can make as many pages as you need to. As far as optimizing your Google Plus profile, again, that's you. Like you personally as a human. So optimize it of who you are, right? Just like making your own profile on Facebook or anything else. It's a personal thing, right? The reason why I make that distinction is to again to make sure that you focus on creating pages and not multiple profiles and getting yourself stuck with what I call the doppelganger problem. I think Nick had that issue too a few months ago, right?
Yeah. So one profile. I know some people set up multiple profiles, kind of like setting up aliases, I guess, or fictitious people. Is that a good idea? Does that work, or
yeah, I haven't seen any real big issues. Like Google Plus hasn't gone through and said these profiles are not actually people, be gone. But technically, if you create a profile that's intended for like a business presence, like you're saying, like an alias, that is against the terms of service. So you do run the minor risk. Again, I haven't seen any issues with it, but you do run the risk of having the profile deleted. So it's best that if you want to create that alias, just make it a page. Because like I said, that alias, like very, very few people can know. Like you have to be pretty much a Google Plus like huge fanboy to be like, oh, that's a page and that's a profile. Additionally, no one cares. Like no one seriously cares. Like all they care about when they see it on Google Plus is that an interesting post? Does that relate to me? The profile page thing is just not an issue to the end user. Only the marketers are the ones that get all confused and like, wait, which one should be the real thing? I'm telling you now, just focus on having your business presence be a Google Plus page.
Right. And we're still on the same slide, right?
Yes. This is the last.
We're just having a side discussion right now.
No problem. Actually,
I'm just letting people know because there's people asking like the slide's not changing.
Right.
We're having a side discussion, which is because some questions came up, so the slide has not changed.
Yeah, but now that we are actually to a new point, we're going to go from slides to a screen share. So Nick, if you could please click on the
The
my
other one.
icon. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
that the everybody. So can everybody see the screen that I'm sharing? Right. It should say Hump Day Hangouts. Let me know if you can.
I
And
can see it.
I also want to point out real quick. Did you see how fast that transition was? Right. Like there didn't have to be like, oh, hold on. Let me share. Let me give you access. And now you're the organizer, right? And I know I'm kind of poo-pooing on webinars, but that was one of the most frustrating things is that the transition from host to presenter was this weird sort of awkward thing of like, oh, hold on, and it disrupted the flow.
Oh, like
Whereas
with
this,
GoToWebinar?
yeah, like
Yeah.
GoToWebinar, right? Whereas this, folks, what we have is that Nick is here, and then I'm here twice, right? So one is my presentation screen, and the other one is my screen share. They're two different computers in the Hangout, but in order to create this nice smooth transition, they're both in there so that Nick, as the host, can click and say, basically be the producer behind the scenes and say, like camera 1, camera 2, that kind of thing. Now, the reason why I bring that up is simply because these are some of the things that we'll be discussing again in the next session that we haven't decided exactly when, but when it comes down to like the Hangout stuff, these are the things that I'm going to be showing you behind the scenes, right? So that's the only reason why I wanted to go into that. But now that we're here and you can see this, this is actually one of my students. His name is Bradley Benner, and he's an awesome, really sharp guy. He's done something that I don't think anybody else has ever really thought to do, and that is all about the IFTTT stuff, which is all like, nerd speak and whatnot. But basically, it's automation, but automation that you set up yourself, right? IFTTT stands for if then that. And he's using it and leveraging all the IFTT recipes that he's familiar with to leverage, basically help rank faster with external efforts. Not just the on-page YouTube SEO stuff that everybody knows about and hears about. It's things that go beyond that in other places, basically off-page SEO that he uses IFTTT recipes to help boost his YouTube rankings and stuff like that. Right. So I thought that was pretty cool. I was actually honored that he was one of the people. Like he was a part of my class, and as a part of it, there's coaching involved, and so we went through, and he already had a really good concept going. Right, as you can see, Hump Day Hangouts every Wednesday. He does a hangout, and even this is I made this for him. Right, this is their YouTube channel, and so when unsubscribed viewers land on his YouTube channel, this video auto plays, and I'm just going to mute it because everybody knows what it is, right? But right, so this
Nice.
right, so basically, and I'm well here. Let me because this is important. This is an important YouTube thing. This is the trailer video, right? Right, and so what you're not hearing is somebody took the commercial of that Geico commercial that everybody's familiar with, and then just cut a little tiny snippet out of it and put like a remix thing, and so it's like it's not the commercial you're used to. It's got like this whoop whoop, like this hip hop sort of vibe kind of thing going on, and so since he remixed it, YouTube was okay with it, and they only use a few seconds. So I snagged his video and applied it to the trailer video for this channel, so that again, what's the user experience? People are searching for SEO help. And so they find this. Oh, and by the way, if you search Google or YouTube for Hump Day Hangout, Bradley's right there on the first page. How cool is that? And it's just, I mean, it's like a pretty generic term, Hump Day Hangout. Like it could mean anything. But since he's been consistent with it, YouTube and Google say, hey, as far as relevance goes, Hump Day Hangout, that's Bradley Benner right there, and semantic mastery, right? So again, they're looking for solutions, SEO. They see this, they jump to the channel, and since they're not subscribed, this trailer auto plays, and we've already seen the demographics of this channel, and they're between 25 and 35 years old. So like the hip hop spin and the sort of kind of lighthearted angle brings all sorts of subscribers in, and this, like, there's actually way more views than the 301. It just got stuck. I don't know if any of you have seen that, but sometimes on YouTube the view count gets stuck at 301 for a little while, and then all of a sudden,
yeah,
right?
I think that what they're doing is they're validating or verifying that you're not having some kind of auto spam bot go out and watch videos.
Right. Yeah.
Couple quick things. One, are you seeing double chats right now, Zane, in the chat box?
Yeah, I'm seeing two Randall. Yeah.
Yeah, so everybody's chat's coming up twice, which is not a big deal. But I just did a screenshot so I can report it to the Webinar Fusion Pro guys and see what might have happened. By the way, everybody, I have a direct line to the developers of Webinar Fusion Pro. It's the first time I've had a direct line to the developer of one of these platforms. They've already added a couple things that we've requested. But Zane, there's some confusion about how all the Gmail addresses relate to the Google profiles and business pages, and people are kind of getting confused by that spider web. And then there's some other people reporting that that's going on.
Yeah, not a problem. Like we're almost an hour into this, but we are very, very close to the end of the explanation. Which, again, like I said, we go into a lot of detail, and then it leads up to like, okay, here's this, this, and this, right? So we're almost done with the explanation. We can get more into the questions, but it'll answer pretty much all the questions that you have in your mind right now. Okay, so with that in mind, I wanted to show you all of this and give you context of what I believe is a channel that has a nice, strong, solid foundation for marketing that will always dominate in rankings. Like no one can go up against Bradley. Like there's just like his subscriber rate is off the chart. In fact, yeah, I think he'll be okay with it. Right. I just want to show you because as you see, right, like this is Bradley's channel, but I'm logged in as my Google account because Bradley, just like Nick did, gave me access to the Google Plus page as a manager, and as a manager, I now have access to the YouTube channel, but I don't need to log in with any login stuff, right? It's all through Google and Google Plus, and so when I'm made a manager, I don't need a new Gmail account. I don't need anything. I can just be in my regular Google account and just click the drop down. You can see if I click the drop down, you can see a bunch of my channels, right? Here's one for Amazing Selling Machine because I help promote that. This is another YouTube channel that I'm helping. It's called Cake Food. It's all about cake decorating. This is a client I just picked up, and a bunch of these channels are just channels that I just made. Just for fun or just making tests and whatnot. So what ends up happening here, folks, is that when you log into your regular Google profile and then you jump over to YouTube and you make a new YouTube channel, that YouTube channel automatically creates a brand new Google Plus page, right? And that is where everything starts, right? So if there was like a little taxonomy, right, a little breakdown flow chart, your profile is at the top, and when you make a new YouTube channel, that YouTube channel automatically creates the Google Plus page, and it's that Google Plus page that will essentially control the YouTube channel and anything else that they do with the business, right? And it's that same page that you can share access to, right? As here you can become a manager, and then you can also take it a step further and then fully transfer that. Say, okay, you have now been changed from manager to owner, and now that person who's the owner controls the Google Plus page, which controls the Google Plus or the YouTube channel, and they can add more managers. I mean, you can have as many managers as you like. Like for instance, if you wanted to outsource this whole process, you just make the outsourcer a manager of your Google Plus page, and then you say, okay, go into the YouTube channel, add these tags, add these descriptions. I want you to edit these videos or do this or that or whatever. Go into the Google Plus page and start making posts and whatnot. And again, you don't have to give them a Gmail account, a login and password, nothing, because it's all done through Google Plus when you give that manager access. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So they get access to the channels, the pages, everything.
Exactly. So I did want to show you this because I love bragging about my students. But if we go into the Creator Studio, and just really quick again, I don't want to show too much here, but I'm gonna. We'll do this quick lifetime, right? So you see this, and again, I can't take all the credit here because Bradley makes good content. But do you see what happens? This is what happens when you focus on marketing, not ranking. Yeah, he got kind of a slow start at the beginning. He even said so himself. He's like, yeah, I wasn't really committed. But it wasn't until November that he started going, maybe I should try something. Next thing you know, we're getting 400 or 500 views a day. All right. And on top of that, like his outsourcers are backed up because I always encourage folks to have a good user experience planned for their users. And then when you deliver content, like say, I don't know, this awesome class, you can go back and chop up a bunch of that content into smaller videos and use those videos as promotional content to drive subscribers, leads, and even purchases with the right type of video content and the right type of market. Is this starting to make sense, folks, why it's so incredibly important to have a strong foundation?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Are you gonna? Maybe we could do this in the Q&A, but maybe show how to make someone a manager.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to do that. So let's go back here. Again, Bradley's really cool, so I don't think he'll mind that little peek behind the curtain. But I also don't want to just say, hey, here's all my awesome results. I want you to see that other people can do this. People just like you, as long as you're focused on, I'm sure you already know what I'm going to say, user experience, right?
Yeah.
So let's bounce back here, and what you're seeing here, what you originally saw, this is a Google Plus event page. Now, the reasons why I like this are many, but just take a look at this, right? He pushes traffic. Basically, what he does is he says, like, hey, we're doing these Hangouts every single week, and whenever he drives traffic to semanticmastery.com/Hump Day Hangout, and that Hump Day, that link always redirects to the next Google Plus event page, like you see here. And this is the cool thing, right? Because if we scroll all the way down, yeah, we get lots of interaction, lots of questions, is that you can see that there are people who were making comments on the event page before the Hangout even started. I mean, that's like you've all seen this before, where there's like a launch of some kind, and there's the 4 videos, the pre-launch videos, right? You can create that same exact effect with Google Plus event pages, right? Now, since you have Webinar Fusion, you maybe don't need to necessarily use Google Plus event pages specifically to broadcast. But as you saw before, there are a lot of correlations between SEO and activity on Google+. So just like creating a Google Plus page, creating an event page, even if you're not going to use it, is a really good idea because it'll always have more exposure on the search engines, right? Like I've seen tons of people do this. I've even done it a couple of times when they want to make sure that the Hangout is off of Google Plus, and something like we're doing right now. Like, where's the Hangout being hosted, Nick? What website?
Well, it's actually hosted on Hangouts on my channel, and then you can embed it.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, I'm curious. Where are they watching, like on your site as an embedded Hangout, or is
no? They're watching via the link through Webinar Fusion Pro, so I think they're on that.
Okay. So yeah. So basically, yeah. So when it's
I could embed it. I could embed it on my site if I wanted to.
Exactly. So a lot of people the client that you saw, the Cake Fu one, the cake decorating gal, she actually likes to embed the Hangout on her website because then she can drive traffic to the website, get opt-ins, and she can leverage the embedded Hangout itself to get people to sit on her website for long periods of times and stare at the surrounding ads, right? So you can do it any way you want, but the reason why I encourage always making an event page is because you might as well, right? Like it's not like making an event page for Facebook, because that isn't going to show up on Google. But it sure as hell will if you do it on Google+, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, if you do use the event page, there's lots and lots of interaction, right? You can use this as, in fact, anytime I do any other classes, I drive everybody to this event page for a couple of reasons. First of all, you can embed the actual Hangout, the live broadcast, before it even goes live, you can embed it right here, right? What you also have is you've got this right here. It says, are you going to go? And if people click yes, then it connects to their Google Calendar, and actually Google reminds them, and you don't have to, right? Furthermore, if people do start interacting on the event page, then anybody else who has said that they were going to go, they'll be, hey, guess what? Somebody made a comment, just like Facebook and whatnot, right? When someone makes a post and then there's comment, everybody is notified that there has been a comment. So again, if you're leveraging the event page itself, it can do you huge favors marketing-wise, because you can schedule it way ahead of time, drive traffic to it in anticipation, then do the actual live hangout and then push out that same exact link as the replay, because everybody's going to see all the previous interactions. Say, well, I have to watch this, right? So beyond that, you've got a nifty little details section, and then you've got links that you can create that will go to an official site, right? And even even leverage the ticket link. Anyway, I'll show you exactly how to do this in just a second. But again, I want to give you context of why I do what I do. Right? Still tracking?
Yeah.
Okay,
This
cool.
is good. Someone's asking about how to create events. I mean, we can't. I'm not sure that we can go through like everything.
Oh wait, this is where everything goes really fast, right? So
Cool.
about 10 minutes, and I'll show you everything, including how to transfer the Google Plus page. All right?
Oh.
So right? Yeah, I know.
I know, right?
Right? Okay. All right. See, I can't spend too much time with Nick because we get all excited and we're like, "Ee!" like little girls. Anyway. All
Wait a
right.
minute. Like what?
What? Someone's saying stuff.
Speak for yourself, my friend.
So let's go ahead and open up another tab here, and you can see that I'm logged in as me. This is my profile. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a brand new YouTube channel, and you'll see how everything lays out. Right. So I'm going to click the little icon that everybody has when they're logged into their Google Plus profile. I'm going to jump over to YouTube. Now, if your personal profile hasn't created a personal YouTube channel, you do need to do that first, but that doesn't really take too long. Get out of here. Stupid Geico ad. Close ad. Be gone. All right. All right. So it can't be semantic mastery. I need to be me. Right. All right. So, all right. Now here I am. Okay. Close ad. Right. But you see how fast that was? Because I have manager access, I can switch back and forth between different profiles and channels for me, other channels of mine, clients, what have you, in just a few simple clicks. Right. So if we click the little icon in the corner, you have a couple of different options. Now, I have this. It says View All for me, and when I click on this, you'll see the same screen you saw before. This is where all of my channels are. Now, if you don't, not everybody has that drop down, so don't worry about it. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this link right here. I'm going to drop it in the chat. Boom. There you go. So if you see that, that is youtube.com/channel_switcher. If you can't click the link like I did, if it's not giving you the option, then just go to that URL and it'll open up this for you, right? Where it shows all of your channels. Hooray, this is awesome. But this is what we're looking for right here. Create new channel. That's what we want. So if we click on that, now
is there any other way to get to that besides channel switcher? Like if you don't have the direct link?
See, and that's the weird thing. I haven't been able to find it any other way. It's either in the drop-down, or, well, I've always found it in the drop-down, but students of mine have said, oh, I don't know where it is, so I had to figure out, what link that was, and that's the only way. Most everybody should have the ability to click the little icon like you saw and actually, create another channel that way. But if not, the only other way is just to go to that URL. It's weird.
Okay, well, now we have the secret URL.
Yeah, there you go. So at this point, it's just a simple matter of naming the channel. I'm just going to call it example channel, right? Nothing too fancy. Category, there is no category that's better than the other unless it's more related, right? So more often than not, marketers are going to be choosing product or brand. But if you're doing this for a client, company, institution, or organization, works just as fine. But go with the one that's the most relevant, because again, there is no category that's better than another. All right. So I'm just going to choose product or brand. You see this right here? It says your new channel comes with a Google Plus page, which is why you have to check the box. It says I agree to page terms, right? So when I click done, we instantly have a brand new YouTube channel and a brand new Google Plus page. This is literally as simple as it is. Like what you see is what you get. You can say, oh, I want to do this for a business that I want to impress, like a car company or anything. You just, the name of the channel also is the name of the page. So just like that, you could just do this one thing and say, hey, business owner, you need to check this out. That's all you would need. You wouldn't need to do anything more. You would look like a wizard to them, like, oh, how did you do that? Like, let's sit down and chat, right? And I mean, that's like, I wish we could get more technical than that,
It'd
but
be more impressive when after you added the channel art and all of that, with
right?
their logo and stuff on it. Hey, check this out.
And we'll talk about it in a later discussion, but I'll also show you how you can whip up a really, really fast video that, especially for the offline crowd, a really, really fast 10-second video that will rank very quickly, right? So for all of you who are like, oh, I want to rank, like I haven't totally forgot about you, right? So here's the deal. We're going to click on this icon, and right here where it says change, like, if you want to change the icon, it technically happens on Google Plus. So when I click on this, we're gonna instantly jump over to Google Plus. So don't get too worried, right? Now we're on the Google Plus page, and we're operating as the Google Plus page, right? It says example channel Google Plus page. Simple as that, right? We created the channel, we clicked on the little drop down, clicked on our icon, and it took us straight to Google Plus, the page that we just created, so that we can edit and tweak and change. This is also how you make managers, right? So we're going to go back to the same icon where my mouse is. We're going to click on that, and we're going to click on settings. Inside settings, there's a bunch of stuff that you can do. In fact, if you really, really wanted to, you could actually create a specific password just for this page, but you don't need it. You can, again, this is something you can do, but you don't need it, because you can just come up here to managers, and click on managers, and just like that, here's me, right? I'm the owner, and if I click on add managers, I can find anybody on Google Plus. Now this is where you do have to be specific, right? Since it's going to send an invitation to this person, you need to make sure that you get the Gmail or email address that's connected to their Google Plus profile, right? Now, yes, managers just needed to remember, pages can be managers of other pages, right? So there's that too. But for the most part, having a person profile be the manager is the best thing. This is where you could say, business owner, like, give me your email address that you use for Google Plus, and I will make you the manager. And basically what happens, like, you don't see the option, there's manager and community manager. After it takes a couple of days, but after a day or two, then you can switch the business owner from manager to owner, right? So you're basically saying, this Google Plus page is yours now. You are the owner, and they can go back, change passwords, do whatever, and then you don't have any access to it. Like, they could make you not a manager, right? Like, it's that locked down if you want, right? So if a business owner, and this has never ever happened to me, but there are plenty of people who've asked about it, so I'll address it now. If there's ever a business owner that's like, whoa, like, you can't do that, that's my name, you can be like, oh, hey, no problem, this is yours, I'll transfer ownership. Like, I didn't want to take your name, I just wanted to show you what I could do. Now, again, I've never ever run into that, neither have any of my students, but there were some that were afraid of, if you just do it, maybe the business owner will get upset, and this is your ace in the hole of like, hey, don't worry about it, I can just give you ownership, and then I can walk away, because honestly, who would want to work with somebody like that? Like, oh, how dare you? Hey, I don't want to work with somebody like that. So that is how you create, you add a manager to the page, right? Like, again, it's super fast once you understand how it works and understand the context. All right, so is everybody still tracking? And it's really quiet all of a sudden. Are you there, Nick? Hello? My mic still on? Yeah, I can see sound happening. Okay, so Nick says okay, he can hear us. Okay, nope. All right, cool, no problem. All right, so we're going to cancel this, and you can see how simple that was. Now, I want to show you. This is the last demonstration I want to show you, and then we'll dive right into specifically the Q&A. I want to show you how a page can create a Google Plus event page. Right. Again, really, really simple, really, really awesome, right? So we're going to, let's see, we're still on example channel, right? So here's our page. All right, and we're going to come over here to the little flyout here, and this is like your start menu, right? So like think of your computer, like when you click the little icon and the little start menu pops up, and you've got all these different options. So this is basically the same kind of thing with Google Plus. You can look at your page, you can look at the stream, you can look at the people that you have circled and have circled you back. I mean, the whole 9 yards can all happen right here. So what we want to do is we want to come down here to events and click on events. All right, it's good to see everybody can still hear me. Awesome. Nick is still here in spirit, so that's good. So now that we're here, like in the event section, here's a very important thing to keep in mind, right? We have two options. We have create event and plan a hangout. Now, I don't know why Google Plus wants to torture people like this, but when you click on plan a hangout, it doesn't actually set up a live hangout on air. It just creates a regular hangout, which is nice, but it's nothing more than a glorified Skype call. It means that you and 9 other people can jump into a hangout and you can talk and chat and do all sorts of fun stuff. But none of it's being broadcast live like we're doing right now, and none of it is recorded. So do not, I repeat, do not click on plan a hangout. Not good, right? This unfortunately happened to Brendan Burchard a few years ago. He or his staff or whoever did this didn't set it up properly, and he got a bunch of people like, yeah, let's do this. And the first 9 people jumped into the hangout. No one else could see it, right? So again, do yourself a favor. Do not click on plan a hangout. You want to click on create event, all right? So we're going to click on create event, and this pops up a fancy little window, right? So you can see here at the top, you can see the little animated GIF that I was telling you about a little bit earlier. Yes, right? So you can actually take this animated, any animated GIF and use it as the header of your Google Plus event page, or your profile, or your Google Plus page. Like the actual headers in Google Plus can be animated, which means, again, of course, you can leverage it in your own marketing. Like, okay, everyone else's stuff is pretty static. What could I offer my audience in this banner to get a better user experience? Or how can I use this to drive opt-ins, right? And you could have, like, a little animated thing with like arrows pointing down, like, hey, comment, or you should check it out, or whatever, right? Personally, I'm not a designer, so I always try and find something that is already available by Google Plus. And as you can see, there's a bunch of different themes that you have. I just choose other because I get some pretty, generic things like, ooh, wow, cool, we got a butterfly. But I just use, little, like, this is one of my favorites, colorful, right? So you can set that as a theme, or you can just upload your own, right? Pixel size, it's for these headers. They are 1200 by 300, right? So 1200 by 300, there are tons of GIF generators out there if you really want, where you can apply video to it. Or what I do, which is much easier and faster, is just find somebody on Fiverr or Odesk to say, hey, this is what I want done. And the pixel, the resolution is 1200 by 300, and there you go. Simple as that, right? So at this point, it's just entering the information, right? You want your title. I'm just going to call this test run, and then you want to choose the actual date, right? Let's set this for next Saturday. Why not, right? In fact, we'll call this Hangout. That's what we're going to be talking about next week. I can't remember. Anyway, also you can see this, right? It says Mountain Time, because I'm in Utah, right? So I can set it up in my time zone, and Google Plus will display the time it starts in the end user's time zone. Now, that may sound really cool and a time saver, but it's not, because a lot of people get confused. They're like, wait a second, the thing says this, but are you 2 hours ahead of me or what? Like they get confused because they're not used to having something like Google Plus anticipate their time zone and reflect the start time at the time that that they actually say. So first thing I do is I switch this, because I as a marketer, I was just trained. Always set things to Eastern time. That's how it's always been. Might get a little more lax, but that's just, again, it's just been drilled into my head. So I choose Eastern time. And I don't know why it always pulls up Panama, and I don't really like that. Like, I'm sure it's fine, but I just make sure and set it to New York, right? So it's always set to Eastern. So then, of course, I count backwards myself, right? And I say, okay, well, I want to have this class at 2 p.m. or at 12 p.m. Mountain time. So I'm going to set the start time for 2 p.m. So 2 p.m. Eastern is 12 p.m. Mountain, and again, it ensures that no one gets confused. Right now, what I also do, again, just to help out my users, right? Say it starts at 2 p.m. EST, right there in the title, so that when they do see that the time zone reflects in their time, or the start time reflects in their time zone, they go, oh, okay, yeah, this is my time zone, and it says that it's Eastern. Okay, cool, right? So again, you do have to do a little bit more work, because everybody wants to try and do the time zone math when they really don't need to. So just I've done this before. Just do yourself a favor, save yourself some headache, and just make sure that you have some extra information in the title for your end users to make sure that they don't get confused at all. Right. So next we have location. It's optional, but I always do live hangout on. For a local business, you most definitely want to put their address, because it's another sort of ping on Google's radar of like, something's happening at this address, just like Google Maps, right? Or a review that's being written, like an activity is happening on that at that location, right? Same goes for when you're uploading videos to YouTube. You can go into the actual video itself, the settings, and say, hey, this was uploaded from this location, right? So another helpful SEO thing. Let's see. Now, details, this is where you actually have the explanation, like you saw. Well, like for instance, right, if we click on this and we click on read more, this details section right here, right? That is this section right here. So I think you've got like 5,000 characters, so use it, use what you can. And then we have one last piece missing, and that's where a lot of people get confused, because they say, well, where do we put the YouTube video? That's very simple. We click right here, we click on event options, and I don't know why they hide this, but they do. And you got to go click on advanced, and then you got to click on show more options, right? You see how it opened up more, right? We've got details, and then we've got website URL, right, which is optional but definitely recommended, right? Just like you see here, where it says, wow, that's a lot, where it says official site. That's this field right here where it says website URL optional. That's this link, right? Now think about it, right? You can say, like in the actual Hangout, you can say, all right, now here's what you need to do. You need to look at the right side of the screen and then click on official site, and then you can take them to your website, your affiliate landing page, whatever it may be, right? So it's a very, very simple button that can be leveraged and have huge effects. Because again, it feels more interactive, right? Like, hey, click on the button just to my right, and it'll never change, it'll never move. So that call to action is always very, very helpful, right? So back in here, and then of course this is the ticket seller, right? Because this is an event page. It's not just meant for live Hangouts on air. It's just what I use it for myself. But it's technically meant to be like, hey, if you have an actual event, you can put the ticket seller URL where they can buy tickets. But as you can see with Bradley's, they just went ahead and said, like, here's the official site, and this goes to the YouTube channel, and then the ticket link is just to their website, semanticmastery.com, right? Kind of a clever way of doing it. And then of course, transit and parking information. Again, if you're doing live Hangouts on air, you don't need to fill that out. But the important part here is the YouTube URL. Now, a lot of you are probably wondering, like, okay, well, Google Plus page, Google Plus event page, but what about the Hangout itself, right? Now, here's the cool thing, and I'm not quite sure how it ties into Webinar Fusion just yet, but I know it will, right? So just know that this is more of a native approach, and I'll explain why I do this. So we're looking for the YouTube URL, right? But we don't have it yet because we haven't scheduled the Hangout. So here's what we're going to do, and again, this is the last piece to the puzzle here, right? So I'm going to open up another window real quick, and then I'm going to bounce over to YouTube, and I'm going to schedule a new live Hangout on air. Now, since I haven't verified this channel, I'm just going to use my regular channel, right? Won't be a problem. So I'm going to click on my icon here. I'm going to jump into Creator Studio. And then over here on the left side of the screen, I'm going to go in here to Video Manager. And inside the Video Manager, this is where we can actually create these live events, right? So this guy right here, live event. Now, you can see that I've already scheduled a session, right, for April 6th because I do a lot of these classes, right? So I already have one scheduled, but I'm just going to create a new live event. Now, if you go into your YouTube channel and you click on live events and you don't see this screen, it's because you haven't verified your YouTube channel. And it's really fast and easy to do that. All you got to do is give YouTube well, basically you need to give them a phone number so that they can text you a confirmation code, or they can just call you if you've got a landline. They just need to verify that you're not some spam bot, so they need to verify it through a phone number. As soon as you do that, then the live events opens up for you. Okay, so before I click on new live event, I want to explain to you why I do this. When you set up an event like this and you schedule it ahead of time, like I'm doing with the event page and the Hangout itself, what's really cool is that it's a YouTube link and it's live and it's active. That if well, let me show you, right? If we click on this link right here, if someone goes to this is what they'll see, right? But it's live. Like this link right here, this YouTube URL, this is the link for the scheduled Hangout, but it's also the same link for the live Hangout, and it's also the same exact link for the replay. And replays are actually like rendered in real time. Like if somebody showed up here late, they could just grab the timeline bar and drag it all the way back to the beginning, and you'd be able to watch it from the beginning because it's literally rendering in real time, right? So the link you create to schedule the Hangout is the same exact link for the live broadcast, and it's also the same exact link for the replay, which is why I love using event pages, even if I'm not planning on broadcasting the Hangout on the event page, because it's great for SEO. I can schedule it ahead of time and get it running out there into the Google Plus and Google Ether, so that people know. And heck, I can even use this same event page to push traffic to the actual page that I want people to watch the Hangout on, right? So what I'm explaining to you is the versatility of the actual Hangout and YouTube system that can be applied to any software that you're using, including Webinar Fusion. Is this making sense, folks? Because this is the true power that you're dealing with when it comes to this platform, and not many people really understand it, right? So live events. When it comes to scheduling a new live Hangout on air, it's really, really simple. It's exactly like the event page, right? So you've got your title, and you've got when it's going to happen, and you've got the description, and you've got all sorts of things. It's almost like when you upload a YouTube video, you have the ability to add all this information, right? So again, think about it. If you set up a live Hangout on air, you just schedule it for a hypothetical Hangout. It doesn't even have to, like, the thing that's important here is that it doesn't actually have to be a Hangout that is broadcast. The simple fact that you create it will get it to rank. Now, stay with me on this, right? So if you were to create this setup for an offline business, you went into your own personal Google account, created a YouTube channel with the name of the business, which now, as you've seen, automatically creates a Google Plus page, and then you create an event page that says, introducing this company XYZ. You make sure that the name of the business is in the title of the event page. You make sure that the title is in the name of the Hangout, and you just schedule it for like a year in advance. It doesn't even matter. What the important thing is that by simply doing it, the YouTube channel, the Google Plus page, the event page, and sometimes even the website it's connected to will start ranking on the first page of Google. And you haven't done anything but take about